We have music. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Thank you for joining us. My name is Karen Barnett, and I'm going to be your host for this evening. But you don't need to know about me because the most important information is going to be coming from our guest speaker. You're going to be able to read about her, and I would prefer that you do that so that way we have the lion's share of time getting qualitative, quality, and most importantly, information that's going to assist you as you take it forward. Birthing the Magic has put together a Sankofa fill, which means go back and fetch it, information session this week. And I'm coming off of the earlier session where I tell you, I'm hyped. I am just really, really hyped. And I'm equally as hyped for you to find out the information that's going to be shared by our speaker. So if you're looking for CEOs or for credit for just watching, drop your name and your email in the chat, send your certificate. But more importantly, as you're logging in, let us know where you're joining us from. Put the state or the city. Let us know if you're a birth worker, if you're an expecting mama, if you're a recent postpartum mama, if you're just part of a birthing tribe. All of those things are important to us. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Let's break some cycles. Let's build some legacies. Let's get some breastfeeding back to a 411. But more importantly, let's take this with us and share it with everyone else. So, Jody, I see you logging in. Thank you so much. Come on, let's drop those names in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know where you're going to be taking this information back to. Make sure you're checking the birthing. I see Boston, Dula. Okay, Victoria, come on in, California. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't be shy. Drop those things into the chat. Hi, Jessica. Valerie. Michaela. Okay. Okay, Jody, you're here in New Jersey. That's where I'm at. Okay, I'd be 295 down if I was 295 down north if I was coming to see you. Okay, Ohio, Northern Cali. Okay, Kentucky. Okay, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Let's keep coming in. Read those slides as you're doing that. Support Birthing the Magic Collaborative. If someone that you know is not on this webinar, let them know that they are missing some really, really good information and they still have time to sign up for the next. Because again, remember, we're breaking cycles, building legacy, breastfeeding through culture and community, factual based. Okay, much better than the tip to the top. This is going to be factual. Karen Barnett, I'm your host. Make sure you're checking out the Birthing the Magic site. We have so much that we need to bring to you and to our communities. Okay, let's keep those names coming in. I'm feeling this groove. Yes. Okay, we have Calencia. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Shantayla. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Natasha. Got a lot of Cali folks here. Cherie in Philly. Okay. The north, the south, east, or the west. I've got a lot of loved ones in Philadelphia. That city of love. Okay, Natasha's getting some shout outs in the chat. Trisha, Florida. Okay, you can keep the heat too. Okay, someone else is grooving on that music too. Okay, Trudy, Jazzy, we are going to be turning it over now. And the next voice that you will hear will be the voice of the information giver for this evening. So let's give her some love in the chat. And I'm going to be switching off so that she can Switch on. Hi, Maria, just in time. Okay, take it away, Tenise.
Thank you so much. So, thank you to Karen and Marie for having me. I am super excited to be chatting with y'all tonight. I have a couple of points that I wanted to kind of touch on, but maybe Karen, if we're facilitate some questions as we get into this. But again, thank y'all for having me and happy pre-Black Breastfeeding Week. So, I am going to be talking to you guys tonight about breaking cycles and building legacies. And I have 5 points that I want to try to get across. And so, one of the first things that I'm going to challenge you all to think about when we're talking about Black breastfeeding specifically is what did we inherit? So, this can range from a variety of things, but specifically, I want you to think about when was the first time you saw someone breastfeeding? What did your mother, aunties, cousins, siblings, grandmother pass on to us about breastfeeding? And how has that influenced your decision to breastfeed or your decision to not breastfeed? And so when we look at what that looks like, of course, we carry a lot of baggage. We carry systemic racism and medical mistrust, which I'm going to talk about. We carry slavery and literally feeding the entire country here in the U.S. So what did your ancestors pass on to you? What did we inherit? Sometimes, yes, and please drop that in the chat. Sometimes it's beliefs that are rooted in love, right? It's protection. That could also look like survival or lived experiences. Sometimes it's that nourishment of making sure that the birthing mother has everything that she needs in that early postpartum period. Sometimes it's figuring it out on your own. And so when you're thinking about having to decipher between how you're going to feed your baby while you're healing yourself, there may be questions about, well, if this doesn't work out, who do I go to for help? Because if you Google lactation consultant, you're not going to necessarily find someone that looks like me. There is a ethnically inambiguous cartoon that kind of pops up, but for the most part, you're not going to see a whole lot of people like me. And depending on where you're located in the country, you're absolutely not even going to be able to find a lactation or healthcare provider that looks like you to support you. And so that could definitely bring about a lot of feelings. And so we look for our ancestors, our moms, our aunties, our sisters, and sometimes our close friends uh, on what they did and who helped them. And so we inherit trauma, we inherit grief, we inherit stigma, and hopefully for the next generation, they're going to be inheriting love, support, and resources. And so the message from that is that we don't have to pass on everything that we inherit. Everything that we inherit does not have to be carried forward. One of the best pieces of advice that my mom gave me, granted, this was related to parenting, but it fits into this topic as well, is to take the good and leave the bad. So, an encouragement to you all when we're thinking about the legacy that we're going to leave for the next generation as relates to breastfeeding journeys, take the good and leave the bad. So, I also think that as we are quickly approaching the year 2030, we as Black women, we are now in a place, give or take, as it relates to our new administration, but generally speaking, in a place where we have moved from survival to choice. And what that means, if I look back the generations within my own family, my grandmother, who is still alive, was born in 1935. She's part of the silent generation. So she was born right after the Great Depression. My mom is a Jim Crow child. She was born and raised in the 60s. And so if we look at what our ancestors, two, three generations before us, had to do to survive. Having to maybe not respond back when someone called them out of their name or a racial slur, having to maybe work two jobs to provide, or I was a latchkey kid, not being home when our children were coming home from school. We are now in a place where we can act from choice. We as Black women are the most educated in our country. We have the most degrees. We are at a place where we can make conscious decisions to say no. No to protect our health, no to protect our mental health, no to protect our family. And while that's not necessarily perfect, we are really in a place where we are able to reclaim some choices, and some of that is our breastfeeding stories. And so we haven't always had the autonomy of our bodies and the work that we did and our reproductive choices, but now we do. And so While we have government officials that are trying to make that look very different, it's really important that we take the time to educate the next generation on the choices that we have and also how to protect those choices. So breastfeeding should not be another burden to Black mothers. It should look like an informed choice. So an informed choice, making sure that there are resources available, that there are more lactation consultants that look like me, that we are putting out misinformation on TikTok and Instagram and all of the things, and that we're speaking up and speaking out. So it's really important that we honor the fact that we're able to move from survival to choice, but then also while we are celebrating that, we are pulling others along with us, whether that be our children, whether that be the next generation of breastfeeders or the next generation of lactation professionals. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is being able, and part of this is that our choice is being able to advocate for ourselves and our families. That means advocating in our workspaces. That means advocating in healthcare systems. It means advocating in with our insurance companies. So I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time here, but I think it would be remiss when we're talking about Black Breastfeeding Week to really speak on the insurance barrier, because what people think insurance barrier looks like are individuals who are underemployed or individuals who aren't employed. And while that may also be true, insurance barriers 100% also applies to those who are employed, dual income. It looks like United Healthcare no longer covering lactation services for the infant beginning September 1st. It looks like Cigna leaving the Affordable Cares Act in 2027, which means that employers no longer have to provide lactation benefits as part of private employee insurance plans. So this is not necessarily common knowledge, but this affects people's right to get adequate care when it relates to breastfeeding. So it's important that we advocate for ourselves and the future generations because we have that choice that our ancestors did not have. So if we move to point number 3, I wanted to talk about, well, we always hear about village and you need a village, which you 100% do. And oftentimes that village is not necessarily our blood, it's the people that we choose. Well, who is missing from this so-called village? And giving ourselves permission to rebuild what community support needs, what our community support needs. And so this is an opportunity to challenge the idea that breastfeeding is solely the mother's responsibility. And I hear that often in circles, but I'll tell you, that's not what I see in practice. I see the present dad. I see the present older siblings, most of them looking like me. But we don't have that conversation very often, and there's still this misconception of this broken family unit. And so when we're talking about the village, we also need to make sure that we are educating and encouraging those members of the village. So our partners, our grandmothers and aunties, friends, church and faith communities, childcare providers, making sure that they know the difference between feeding a baby who is primarily fed at the breast and a baby who has always been bottle fed. Other healthcare professionals, we know that MDs only get about 16 hours of breastfeeding education throughout their entire 4 years of med school. And so there's a big knowledge gap there. And also we have a more than I think that I'm comfortable with of US healthcare agencies that literally don't know about breastfeeding and continue to put out bad information. And while I don't want to spend too much time on them specifically, because I'm working on good intent and I'm thinking that they're really trying to do the best that they can with the information that is out there. But that also is something that reduces breastfeeding initiation rates and duration rates, especially in the Black community. Also, community health workers can play a really great role in supporting breastfeeding and also being a part of that postpartum community support. Lactation professionals, and there seems to be a lot of, I'm just going to say drama amongst the type of lactation professionals that are out there. And yes, there is definitely a lactation professional alphabet soup, but the reality is that there is a place for everyone. There is a place for peer counselors. There's a place for lactation specialists. There is a place for IBCLCs, International Board Certified Lactation Consultants. And my view is if we spent more time focusing on how we can work together and build bridges, then pointing out who has this current credential behind their name and who doesn't. I think that's time that's wasted. So these are all people in the village that should be educated about breastfeeding. That should be going to prenatal breastfeeding classes. That should be making sure that they are supporting mom when she's breastfeeding. Well, what does that support look like? Well, I'm glad that you asked. That looks like bringing food and preparing meals. That looks like helping mom protect her rest. Can we just talk about sleep real quick? Sleep is so important. If I take a little tangent, there are now new studies that relate the lack of sleep or lack of quality sleep to Alzheimer's and dementia. We know that not having enough sleep in that early postpartum period can exacerbate postpartum mood disorders and anxiety. So sleep is really important. So we need to have individuals in our villages, in our community that are helping mom to protect her rest. We need individuals in mom's community and village that are advocating for her at work, that are advocating for time off to go pump in a clean, private area that is not a bathroom, that are advocating for mom to be able to get all the benefits of the Pump Act of 2023, that are advocating for the employees that are like, oh my gosh, you're still doing that, or ew, what is that? We need to be advocating for training for our managers. I recently had the opportunity to work with the local suburb, the city, the municipal city of a local suburb here, and working with their fire marshal and their police chief and helping them understand what breastfeeding looks like to their employees, because this is an unprecedented time for them. They have 5 employees that are expecting this year, and this has never happened in this city in all the years that they've been active. And then helping with older children. Can we normalize someone coming and playing games or taking the older kids out and making sure that mom and dad have rest time and bonding with the new baby without the older children feeling left out? This support also looks like learning how to use a breast pump. Breast pump or pumping is definitely still breastfeeding. There is a learning curve that can be associated with different pumps. So making sure that mom has the option to pump and the ability to use her pump to the fullest manner in which she's getting the most output out, and not questioning every feeding decision. And so this looks like, instead of asking, or I would think more of the lines of sympathy versus empathy, right? And so if mom is having a difficult time, we don't want to say at least. Whenever you're thinking about somebody who is pouring out their soul to you and your first response is at least, try again. Try again, because at least is a place of sympathy and not empathy. We want to be able to sit down with mom and say, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. That sucks how you're feeling. And then moving to a place where we can help her find the resources that she needs. Also, helping her find professional support when something isn't going well. Can we just normalize asking for help? Normalize saying, this is not going well, or this is not going as I expected. I can't do this all by myself, because ding, 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 we were never meant to. But normalize asking for help, normalizing not bearing and gritting through it, especially when we have pain with breastfeeding, because even if we weren't breastfeeding, we know that pain is a sign, an indication that something is wrong. So normalizing asking for help from a professional when something is not going well. And then we really need to create these environments where breastfeeding is normal. That includes churches, hello. That includes workspaces. That includes eating out in public. That includes conferences and seminars, because, public service announcement, breastfeeding is the biological norm in which we feed our children. And so we should already have places, environments where mom is feeling confident, when she's feeling supported, and that breastfeeding is normal, but we don't. And it still seems to be a very taboo situation that we have significantly in our community, but across the board. The key message where relates to being able to, who's missing from that village, don't be afraid to start building your own bridge. And so, yes, we have maybe mothers on the line in various parts of postpartum or beyond. But if there are any folks on here in the pre-planning stage, this is your action item right now, is to start identifying and building what your community, what your village looks like before baby arrives. Point number 4, I wanted to talk about from representation to legacy. And this is, you know, connects the broader work of how we are represented and the possibilities of what that can look like. And I think that's my new phrase of the year is seeing yourself in the possibilities. And so I work a lot with interns and students, and I want them to see themselves in the possibilities. And I want people on this line to see themselves in the possibility and what your legacy looks like before. So what happens when that Black girl shows up and she sees breastfeeding as something that is normal, something that is beautiful, something that is supported, and something that is celebrated? That becomes the norm, and that becomes the expectation for her household, and then offsprings and shoots from there. And so what if she sees Black lactation consultants, Black midwives, Black physicians? We know research shows that when a patient has a healthcare provider that looks like them, the outcomes are exponentially greater. Exponentially, not a little bit, not just a little skosh, exponentially greater. And what if we continue to see more Black researchers, Black doulas, mental health advocates, Black breastfeeding educators? And one of the things that I'm really happy that I've had the opportunity to contribute to is not every breastfeeding educator needs to be a breastfeeding or a lactation professional. I have had the honor of training significant amount of home visitors, social workers, like anybody who comes into contact with a mother-baby dyad, they should be armed with some breastfeeding facts, because if they're coming into contact with mother-baby dyad, at some point, they're going to see a latch or a not so great latch, or get asked a question if a mom should, if she's choosing to breastfeed versus formula, and maybe asked about the benefits of breastfeeding to mother or baby. So if we start to raise the bar in lactation education to everybody, the population in general, then it's going to just, stair step up higher and higher. And so again, breastfeeding educators don't have to be lactation professionals. It'd be great if they all were, but they don't have to be. And then we want to celebrate our Black fathers supporting the breastfeeding. I know personally that was my story. I know that that is a story for a lot of friends that I have, family members, and many of my clients. And while it's not across the board, our Black fathers are really doing amazing jobs in supporting their family unit, their wife, protecting their children. And so to help get the next generation out there, little boys need to see their moms breastfeeding. They need to see their dads protecting their moms breastfeeding right. That might look like protecting mom's breastfeeding right with their mother-in-law, or whatever that looks like. But just making sure that we are encouraging and celebrating those acts when we see more of those. And then Black businesses creating breastfeeding friendly spaces. Did I say it? As a Black entrepreneur, it's been, I think it's really important to establish partnerships with businesses in general, because that's important, but Black businesses specifically, and teaching those business owners about the benefits of breastfeeding, and encouraging them to be breastfeeding friendly spaces. Because at the end of the day, if we can't even go into our own businesses, our own communities, and feel safe in breastfeeding our children, then we have lost. Then it's not a win, it's not a flex. We have definitely lost. And then so with that, representation doesn't just change who is in the room, it changes what people believe is possible. So all these people that I listed, Black researchers, Black physicians, Black midwives, like, we are literally our ancestors' wildest dreams. And so to continue with this legacy of moving upward and onward, we have to bring the next generation along with us. And then my last point that I wanted to hit on tonight is, what are you leaving behind? So if we're talking about building a legacy, have you considered what you are leaving behind? When our children and our grandchildren look back at our generation, I believe I'm millennial, what will they say we changed? What will they say our legacy was? Possible statements include, we made breastfeeding visible. We made support accessible. And as a lactation consultant, I 100% hope that's part of my legacy. We stopped treating breastfeeding as solely the mother's responsibility, because it's not. It's the mother's choice, but we all play a role. Employers play a role in protecting mom's breastfeeding right. Entrepreneurs play a role in having a breastfeeding friendly space. It is the biological norm in which we feed our children. Maybe they will say we created workplaces where parents could continue to breastfeed. We normalized Black families breastfeeding in public, that we increased the number of Black lactation professionals. Yes, that is one of my goals, especially working here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and having a clinic that is creating literally more lactation professionals, more IBCLCs. We preserve cultural knowledge while changing harmful myths. And this leans to what I spoke about in the first point is, what did we inherit? So this is leaving or taking the good and leaving the bad. And we preserve our cultural knowledge and, you know, the intimate, sweet, lovable, empowerable things that were passed down to us from the women before us, and leaving all the negativity. We made sure that mothers didn't have to choose between breastfeeding their babies and surviving economically. That's an entire word. So not only is this empowerment, it is providing that breastfeeding education and resources about what that looks like, but it is connecting women and families in ways outside of just breastfeeding. So maybe it's transportation, maybe it is food dispensary, or even client choice food pantries. Maybe it's support groups that can really provide mom with additional resources so that she doesn't have to be forced to make an impossible decision. And then the last possible legacy statement is that we've created communities where mothers didn't have to figure out everything alone. That is such a word, because I mean, sometimes you feel like you're on an island by yourself. Consider the friend in the friend group who has her baby first. So she's the first one to have a child, and all her other friends don't. And so now she doesn't even have her friend group that maybe they went through high school and college and, you know, the first early part of their 20s with, to have that communication or that support with. Or we have the older mom who's been the rich auntie for, you know, 10 years. And while her friends were all having children, she was traveling the globe, doing all the things. And now when she has her child, maybe her friend group is in the teenage phase or the empty nesters. Because as someone in my 40s, I 100% have friends that are grandparents, and I have friends that still have children in school. So it could very much happen. And so when we think about these possible legacy statements, hopefully one of those resonates with you. And if you think about your journey and your impact, like, think about what your legacy is going to be to the next generation. And it's twofold. It's the next generation of breastfeeders, as well as the next generation of lactation professionals. And so I had a statement that I'm going to encourage everybody in the chat to fill in the blank. So I am breaking the cycle of blank so that the next generation can inherit blank. And I'm just going to pause for a minute. I am breaking the cycle of blank so that the next generation can inherit blank. And so I just wanted to hop over to the chat and see what a couple of people might have put in the fill in the blanks. And then Karen, we can get ready for some questions if we have any. So I am breaking the cycle of blank so that the next generation can inherit blank. Let me know your thoughts.
And I put the prompt in the chat. So the prompt is actually in the chat if you need to refer back to it.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Yes, self-doubt is a killer. Breaking the cycle of self-doubt. Write self-doubt, write all the things that you are doubting about yourself on a piece of paper and burn it or throw it in the trash. Feel confident, feel empowered. Yes. Breaking the cycle of misconception. There's so much misconception out there. I would challenge you to find a trusted, true resource that you can get your information from. Maybe it's someone in the birthing center or birthing community in your city or your state. I know that Marie has a wealth of resources. I'm definitely a resource. I can connect you with people if I don't know the answer. But yes, finding those areas, those pockets of trusted truth. Breaking the cycle of the value of education and service, of the value of education and service. Yeah, inherent knowledge and service. Yes. One of the things that I love about the Native American culture is their rich storytelling. So, unlike Egyptians, they didn't have a written language that they wrote down on papyrus or hieroglyphics, but their storytelling is unmatched in how they pass down from generation to generation all of this quote unquote tribal knowledge. Yeah, breaking the cycle of lack and passing on new choices. There's a saying that I love, and it's my children will never have to get it from the gutter. They will pick it from the garden that I plant. And that is, in so many ways, it's mentally. It is, having the sense of self, financially, all these things that, we're never going to be picking it from the gutter. Always going to be from the garden that I plant. Yes, breaking the cycle of shame because breastfeeding is so beautiful. It is so amazing. I tell the ladies that come and sit on my couch, you are a warrior. Like, look at you growing an entire human and either having that human cut out of you, or you push that human out of the size of a mango and you're continuing to nourish that human. Warriors, okay? Um, Absolutely. Breaking the cycle of becoming, yeah, and healing and growing. And I think I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know that our mothers and our mothers' mothers had the opportunity to do that. I don't think that they had the space and the energy to sit and heal from all of these stuff, all of the Jim Crow, all of the racism, all of the bad husband choices. I said it, all of these things. But we do. And that's an amazing legacy to pass down to our daughters. I think at this point, maybe Karen, I will see if there's any specific questions from the group that we can chat about, or if anybody needs me to go back to another point that I talked about.
Awesome, awesome. Your 5 points actually were so saturated that they actually exponentially burst into more points. So I am sure the individuals may have questions. Um, this really has been, I'm renaming this. This has been like a Sankofa series because everyone is talking about what was inherent in us that has either been forgotten, hidden, or taken from us. And everyone thus far in this series have been recreating a new narrative that actually is a Sankofa moment where they're going back and they're fetching what has been ours, which is our birthright, and reconnecting individuals to it. So I'm loving the reimagination of the narrative that goes along with breastfeeding that eliminates the shame, the misinformation, the disinformation, because there are two different types. There's misinformation and disinformation. Disinformation is slanted information. That's the narratives that we get that, oh, Black women don't breastfeed. Yes, some of us do.
Yes.
The
And Karen,
narrative, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I love the way you use the word reimagine because I think oftentimes as Black women, we don't give ourselves the permission to reimagine. If we think about that first child, the first or the oldest daughter syndrome, I am not the oldest daughter, but I definitely see elements within my family dynamic. So I have I have three aunts, I have an older sister, but the tax that we put on the oldest child, my oldest child is a daughter or a girl. And so I'm very cautious of not putting that tax on her and allowing her the opportunity to reimagine what her success could look like, what her pathway could look like, what her trajectory would look like. And we just oftentimes have not taken a step back to reimagine, what if I had a home birth? What if I sought out midwifery care instead of delivering in a hospital? What if I breastfed and baby wore and went to play dates at the library? What if all these things could be and could be true? And it can be. Why shouldn't it be?
Yes.
Why not? Why can't
Yes.
we enjoy these elements just like our counterparts?
Correct. Correct. And I think it, well, not I think, I know that it begins with dialogues like this, spaces like this, but again, also having those Sankofa moments where individuals actually go online and they look at how our native communities, our indigenous communities, the communities that we came from, no matter where in the diaspora, how do those individuals that are still there, what do their communities look like? And they look very different than the communities that we live in that have been colonized. And when you talk about those Sankofa moments and reconnecting to the legacy, the Maasai tribe was probably the most fierce, strongest tribe in the diaspora. And they were a nomadic tribe, so they moved around a lot. However, no matter what community they went into, the question that they asked was, how are the children? Because in their mindset, the quality of the life for the children meant that the community had a future. And if we look at the influx of the added reasons to breastfeed, whether it be contamination in formula and things like that, there are more benefits to embracing the concept of breastfeeding as a possibility, because it's not always a possibility for everyone, but you can initially embrace it as a possibility. And then
100%.
you can initially embrace that as a possibility and have the support that you need to do that. And one of the things that, as a doula, one of the things that I always encourage is, because you have to change the way you eat to make sure that your child, your infant, has the proper nutrients, not only do you become healthier, your baby becomes healthier, but because you're changing the way that you eat, your family becomes healthier. And as family members come over and you're having these different nutrients dense foods and they're sampling them, they become healthier, and you begin introducing new nutrient dense foods to your community. So when we start talking about how are the children are eating different foods. They're eating nutrient dense foods. We're going to start to see less cavities. Just everything, just everything. So the possibilities that go along with breastfeeding go further. It has tentacles that reach out into the entire family. And
Almost
it
like a domino effect.
exactly, exactly, exactly. And
There's
go ahead.
Sorry, there's a couple of things that you mentioned that I wanted to kind of elaborate on. And so the first one is, yes, we're talking about breastfeeding, and yes, we are encouraging all moms to breastfeed, but there may be some on the line or folks that we know on the line who just aren't sure. And so my best piece of advice or information that I want to share is, it is significantly easier to start breastfeeding and decide, I gave it the good college try. I don't think it's for me. I don't want to continue. Than it is to not start initially and then try to play catch up. I mean, it
Correct.
can be done, but it is a lot more difficult in that second situation. And then also, I love the idea of gauging a community's success or impact on their children, right? Because they are our future. But along with that is, there was also a recent study, you'll have to find it, Marie, and maybe you can send it out to the masses, is that showed An adult's happiness is directly related to when they were a child, their mother's happiness. So if their mom was happy and positive as they were children and in their, formative years, that directly affects their mood as adults. Hello, women were the center of the universe, literally.
Correct. And one of the other things, Adula, that I always share is there's a beautiful thing about turning 18, because at 18 you're considered an adult. And I tell people at 18 you get a do-over. You get a do-over that allows you to create the life that you wish you had had, but more importantly, it gives you the choice and the ability to create the life for your child that you wish you had had. So one of the things that I encourage, make sure that you're taking your prenatal vitamins, because we know that that period of time between conception and the first 3 months of that pregnancy, that's when that brain stem, that's when it's essential for the brain. So I tell people, no, that's not a talkie time. That's not a ramen time. That's when you need to be having that folic acid and all that other good stuff. You need to be changing your diet. And because a lot of pregnancies are not planned, those babies are missing out on those things. So as soon as you do find out that you're pregnant, it's not that you're playing catch up. However, you need to eat up, and it needs to be eating all of those other nutrient dense things, because you get to create a more fertile and nutrient dense space for that child to develop in.
Absolutely. I see that Val has a question. I'm going to get to it in just a second, but it was something that you said. It's specifically, this is a financial coach, and I can't remember his name to save my life, but he said he didn't come from a wealthy family, but a wealthy family would come from him. And I don't take that as just financial or monetarily, it's health. So if we think
Health is
about our families, yeah, hypertension, diabetes, these higher BMIs, all of these things that plague our community disproportionately than other communities. So we're not necessarily coming from a wealthy or a healthy family, but we can make sure that a healthy family comes from us. And
yeah.
the very first thing is what we're putting in our food, or excuse me, in our mouth to eat. And then also, I'm going to say a very strong second is our quality of sleep. We need to protect our sleep, and what that looks like. No, he's black. It's not Dave Ramsey. I can't think of his name right now. Of course, when we're done, it'll pop in my head. But are there any foods that mom should avoid when she's breastfeeding? Generally speaking, no. And again, this is not advice from, this is my advice, as nobody on the line that I know of is my actual client that I'm working with right now. And so that varies. But generally speaking, no. We encourage moms to eat a variety of food. Eating broccoli is not going to give your baby gas. Eating spicy food is not going to give your baby indigestion. The more foods and flavors that mom eats, the more that it flavors her breast milk. And so that makes for a less picky eater at toddler time. I encourage mom to fill her cup, eat protein, and carbohydrates get a really bad rap, but we need carbs. Carbs gives us that sustained energy over time instead of these little sugar spikes. Also, fat is necessary. Fat helps with the development of the baby's brain as well as muscle and ligaments. But we want to choose good fat over bad fat. So that looks like avocado over bacon. So generally speaking, we want mom to eat all the things. When a mother is breastfeeding, she's or pumping, burning a significant amount of calories each time she pumps or brings baby to the breast. 30% of her body energy is used in producing milk. Oftentimes, moms are famished. Eat all of the food. So yes, I hope that helps, Val. I don't know if
Okay.
there's another.
I don't see any addition, but that the nutrition education is important. It is important. Okay, do we have any other questions, any other comments, any other thoughts? Okay,
Yes,
what?
caffeine. Caffeine is acceptable. So caffeine and alcohol 100% pass from mom's bloodstream into her milk supply, but generally speaking, in small amounts because mom's body is metabolizing them. So mom has a cup of coffee a day, fantastic. If we have mom that is drinking three or four, I don't know, Pepsi is caffeinated, and then we're having a lot of caffeine. We might need some extra water to help rinse kind of cleanse that out of our body. But caffeine and alcohol, okay, while breastfeeding, also 100% going into from our bloodstream into breast milk. What that looks like for alcohol. If mom wants to have a glass of wine, a margarita, whatever it is, feed baby or pump, have your drink of choice. By the time it metabolizes through your system, it's time to feed baby again. Now, if mom wakes up and she downs a gallon of vodka, that means we have a lot of alcohol flowing into our bloodstream, which is going to be passed into our bloodstream. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, let me start that over. If mom wakes up and she is downing a gallon of vodka, that means we have a very high blood level alcohol content, and that is going to be passed into our milk supply. So mom can enjoy a drink, a glass of wine, a margarita. But if we're getting significantly more, then yes, we're going to see an impact to our breast milk supply. Eat
Any
all the
other,
things.
yes, any other questions?
You're welcome.
And I think that the important thing is that when we're talking about the eating, is that pregnancy and having a good doula, a good nutritionist, any type of good counseling, prenatal education, puts you in a position to actually be able to make a choice for you to not only change your health outcomes, you begin your child's life with the best nutritional outcomes. And if you maintain that as a norm, then when your child becomes a parent, they begin their child's life with the best nutritional outcomes. And we start to eliminate some of those comorbidities that are so prevalent in the African American and BIPOC communities that shorten our lifespans. So there's nothing more heartbreaking than seeing a 30-year-old that, because they have undiagnosed hypertension, are already on dialysis because they have ruined their kidneys. There's nothing worse than seeing young individuals that are walking around with monitors on because they're type 2 diabetics, because they're morbidly obese. There are so many things that we can delay and or mitigate, but a lot of that begins with our diets. And if we can convince and share the benefits of breastfeeding and adjusting those things, we actually, again, we change the trajectory of the entire household because the eating habits have been changed. But more importantly than just that household, we change our legacy becomes that each subsequent generation is healthier because their eating habits have changed. And one of the things that you talked about the legacy that of the indigenous populations. The decisions that they make are made for the benefit of 7 years, 7 generations in the future. Why not, during the 9 months that you're pregnant, make a change that again will impact the life of not just you, but the life of your child. So thank you for the information. So information dense, information dense, information dense. Do we have any other questions
I,
coming into the chat? Any other
I
comments?
see one more question, but before I jump to it, my public service announcement, as we're talking about healthy families and diabetes, breastfeeding directly reduces the instances of diabetes for both mother and baby. And when we look at hospital admissions, Black men lead the country in emergency admissions due to diabetes. Significant. Okay, so Jalen asks about using marijuana
Marijuana.
while pregnant and impacts on babies and the future growth. Yeah, there are impacts. So THC bonds to our fat in our body, which means it stays with it longer. Alcohol, you would kind of pee it out quicker, but THC stays in our body a lot longer, and does seem to be an effect on infants in utero as well as breastfeeding. Some of the issues is we don't have people volunteering saying, oh my goodness, come experiment on me. I am Black and female and I am smoking weed or eating gummies and I'm pregnant or I'm breastfeeding. Please come and experiment on me because they're going to take our children away from us. And so I say all that to say there still needs to be continued data and work. But yes, we do know that there is an impact. There are a couple of studies that have provided some information as it relates to what that looks like for baby in utero and then also for breastfeeding. And so generally speaking, it is better to breastfeed than to not. I would say for individual cases, please make sure that you are working with your healthcare team, which should include a lactation consultant and a primary care physician. So this does not necessarily look like your OBGYN. This is someone who knows your health history, has a relationship with you outside of a 10-month kind of snapshot. So that would be my best piece of advice there.
And I'd like to supplement that, Jalen. One of the things that I would encourage you to do is go to the SAMHSA site, the Substance Abuse Mental Health, I'm going to say association, but I don't think that that's what it actually is. And look at the research that they have on that site that talks about the impact of cannabis use on brain development. And one of the things that I always say to, because I work with teens also, if you know that your brain is not fully developed until sometimes age 25, there's a difference between males and females. Why would you want to put something in your body that you know can harm it? It's no different than tobacco products. You know what? If you know that there are X number of carcinogens in tobacco products, one being the same chemicals that they put in fingernail polish remover, why would you want to put that in your body? So again, individuals need to look at qualitative informational sites as opposed to TikTok and sites that have a vested interest in getting you to do substance misuse. So I don't believe that any mother would say, well, I'm just going to keep, smoking this weed and eating these gummies. And you know what? If my baby's brain is damaged, it's just damage. But when they don't have access to qualitative information, that could happen. So SAMHSA has a lot of non-verbiage dense information. I'm going to say that again. And yes, they do offer a lot of free trainings. And they have non-verbiage dense information that's easily readable and or you can connect the pictures.
Yep.
And again, they don't have a vested interest one way or the other. They are there to provide qualitative information.
Absolutely great resource. I also just want to, somebody had asked about my best books or classes to learn more nutritional information for breastfeeding. I hesitate there because I feel like this should be an individual conversation. I might encourage this individual to meet with a nutritionist and or a registered dietitian because when we have nutritional deficiencies, we need to address those. Whether it is a vitamin D deficiency or B12 or whatever it might be. So it's very specific to you and your circumstance so that you are the best version of yourself or your baby. I like to explain it as your body is going to prioritize itself. So if there's a nutritional deficiency, if you have the word is escaping me, any type of disorder that is going on in your body, it's going to limit your ability to produce milk and or the quality of the milk that you are producing. So taking care of mom first helps to do all of the other things. And that is literally when we're talking about food, that's talking about sleep, that's talking about raising the white flag when we need help. So prioritizing mom's body and health first so that we can do all the other things. I hope that helps.
Okay, there was another question. Let me see if I can get back to it. Did we talk about addressing mom and them, when they don't support my breastfeeding?
Yeah, so for this one, I don't really care what mom and them have to say about my body. So I like to hit people with the facts. I am a Gemini, so there's a part of me that can be really, a little petty when it comes out. But I do like to hit people with the facts about this is the best thing for me and my child. You'll get hit with the, oh, but I didn't breastfeed and all my children are healthy. Are they? Because you just popped three or four pills with breakfast, one that you have to, take midday. Are you really all that healthy? Also, just being confident in your own autonomy that you're doing the best thing possible for you and your body. Calling on our spouses, like not specifically to breastfeeding, but I know my husband 100% will go and check someone off of, I don't have the energy or I just don't want to, or he's like, don't even come to my wife with that. So calling on our spouse, and maybe it's not your spouse, but it's your BFF or your sibling or whoever. But yeah, hit them with the facts. Ignore what they have to say. Be confident in your choice and your decision of what you're doing with your body, your breast, and your child, because they're not going to get up in the middle of the night with your child when your child is sick or has diarrhea because she has a reaction to a formula or whatever it might be. So I know that's all easier said than done. Practice in the mirror. Practice saying it in the mirror with a little bass in your voice, with your chest poked out, and remember to let the things roll off your shoulder. You don't have enough space in your bag to carry that around, so let that one fall out.
And one of the
Miles,
things that,
no, it's not
and
Miles Monroe, not him. Sorry.
no, and one of the things that you had said earlier was preserve the good and leave the bad.
Yes.
Motherhood, pregnancy, life is a buffet. You look at it and you say, this looks familiar, so I know that this is good. I've had this before. But then sometimes you go to the buffet and you look at something, they said, oh, I've heard about that, but I've never tasted it. I'm going to try it. So one of the things, and I use that analogy when I'm working with my birthing individuals, I say, try it. If it's good for you, it's good for you. But then I also say, find your tribe. So there are, the same way that there are groups that talk about DIY this, DIY that, you can find Black and or BIPOC groups online specific to almost anything that you want to do. So perhaps it is that you find a BIPOC or a Black breastfeeding mamas group, and that they are the individuals that give you the support. One of the things that we need to remember is that when God gave us breasts, when Allah gave us breasts, no matter who the higher being is that you believe in, gave us breasts, they were for the purpose of nourishing our children and the blessing of being able to bring forth life and sustain life through breastfeeding post delivery. So, if your boo gets some pleasure out of them, if you're willing to allow him to get pleasure out of them, why not sustain your child with them? Find your tribe, and give it a try. If it works, when you have your next child, go back to the buffet. But if it doesn't work and if it's not for you, at least you tried. And you know what? That's all. That's what we're saying. We're saying give it a try because of the plethora of benefits. And it goes much further than just your baby surviving. Breastfeeding puts your baby in a position to thrive because of all of the other peripheral benefits of doing it.
Yes. And we as a people, we are moving away from a place where we are just surviving. We are thriving.
Yes. And again, it's changing that narrative. If you really want to take it to the ultimate level, that's why we were wet nurses. Because those individuals knew that when their wives could not produce milk, that they could pass that baby off. And because of how we were built, we could make sure that that baby survived. So if our ancestors were forced to do it for others, why not volunteer to try to do it for our own? Changing the dynamics, thriving. Yes. Someone told me put that on the shirt. We are not surviving. We are thriving. Yes, we are.
So, Karen, this was such a fantastic conversation. Thank you for allowing me to chat today and do some Q&A. Marie, thank you so much for the invitation and coordinating all of this. A time was had.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Thank you
And
both.
again, this has
This is
been like a Sankofa series.
wonderful. I so appreciate. Oh, let me remember. Doulas, your contact hour. You will receive a contact hour for participating, and I we will share the recording with the recording of all of our sessions. We've got one more tomorrow with Dr. Cassandra Henderson. If you're not familiar with Dr. Henderson, she is absolutely brilliant. You'll receive a contact hour if you're a doula for that session. If you are a nurse, you'll receive continuing ed for that session. And we will share all of the recordings on Friday. We will share Tenise, when is your documentary coming out?
So the documentary debut is almost in a week. It's August 29th, and it is The Milk We Carry. So it really expands on all the conversations that we had here. We're looking at Black breastfeeding throughout the generations. So The Milk We Carry is not just the beauty of breastfeeding, but we also talk about the sacrifice, what that looks like as a Black woman to breastfeed here in the U.S.
Ah, and you're debuting
Correct.
in Dallas.
Yes, so we have
in
two
Dallas.
showings booked in Dallas already, and then Marie and I have been talking about what that looks like to get a broader audience outside of the Dallas area. So
And
more
we're
to
going to
come.
try to maybe possibly have a theater here in Arizona
Yes, absolutely.
for her mama Nehemiah and her new
Yes.
auntie Marie.
And what about for those of us over here on the East Coast?
You know
What
what?
any
We have a
idea?
couple of things in the works, so we are not gonna. We love our East Coast too. We love the West Coast, we love the East Coast, and everybody in between.
We're gonna try. We're trying. And
So Marie, you may want to connect her with Lisa Asari at the New Jersey Innovation Center in Trenton.
oh, okay, let's get on that. We'll get an email going. And then I
Yes.
was thinking Lisa, what's her name that owns the Black Theater in Chicago, in Chatham too.
Okay.
There's a Black theater owner in Chatham, and then Michael, what's that guy's name? Not Michael, what's his name? Anyway, the guy that played basketball, but his son is that really beautiful, his daughter is now that really beautiful girl that's on
Hmm. Not familiar, but we're going to pull it all together.
Magic
Oh,
Johnson.
okay.
Magic Johnson has a theater in Chicago. Thank you, Trisha. Girl, I follow what's she dresses. I try to copy the daughter that now dresses really well on IG. My daughter sends their daughter anyway.
Okay.
My daughter
Awesome.
knows the cousin, somebody that runs the theater in Chicago. But so and then I have to tell you guys, mark your calendars for October 15th. We have a sneak peek of this woman from South Africa I met her today and she gave me goosebumps.
Ooh.
You have to meet her. She is what would the kids say? She is a superhero. She's super bad. She's a bad egg.
Mm.
I don't curse, but she's a bad.
Oh, okay. Okay. She's
And
back.
she is going to come talk to us at 1 p.m. our time because of the time difference. She said she couldn't come at night because that would be like 3 o'clock in the morning. But she has done some stuff that I am a Kojic minister's daughter, and she made me want to shout.
Wow. She stands on business.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So mark your calendars. October 15th, take vacation if you have to. Girls, this woman is, if you are Christian, she's like got the Holy Spirit. If you're not, she just got some stuff.
Okay.
And
Let's go zap it. She's gonna zap
yeah, she just
it.
what she's doing in South Africa, just with women who have had some experiences and how she is moving. And I told her when I was hanging up, I said the only time I have like felt this way with someone is when I was in South Africa was on Constitutional Hill and went through the women's prison where
Mm.
they held Miss Minnie. And not that I met Miss Minnie, but when I went through that prison and I felt, and I'm
You
not
will
gonna
feel
cry, but the
you will feel
spirit
the energy of
of
our
how
ancestors.
they treated Miss Minnie. And this tour guide was talking about how they treated women in that prison. And I felt, because I had never really understood how she came out. And remember the story of how she and former President Mandela split? And
Yes.
remember how I'd always grappled with how she became so I thought I understood, but I thought she had to have gone through something to
Mm.
make her be so fiercely um, angry. But when I walked in that place,
Mm.
I felt it.
Wow.
And
It's
when
like touching
and
the
you
door
all
of no
think
return.
about a tour guide can't tell you, and they were trying to whitewash it,
Mm.
and you could feel it. And when this woman tells her testimony,
Wow. I can't wait. I can't wait.
she made me miss a call with a client that was going to pay me some money. uh, and so I had to invite her. And when she said, "You realize the time difference, right?" And I said, "What time can you come?" But I said, "Our we should hear the
Amen.
story." And so she's going to come and talk about her work there. And I hope you all will join us because
Yes.
it's we live in a very we don't realize how sheltered and the work she's doing and the how she overcame the experience she had and it just anyway. But
October
tomorrow
15th.
tomorrow we're going to talk to Dr. Henderson about what are we talking about?
More Sankofa moments.
More Sankofa moments and breastfeeding when you've had a what do you call those? A chronic illness like gestational diabetes, because we know so often Black women, we are diagnosed with chronic gestational diabetes, and we get in that delivery room and they tell us we can't have our golden hour, right? And they don't let us have our baby, and Dr. C has some little ways that we can get around
Yeah,
that.
he has some
Uh,
gems for
yes,
us.
some gems, and she's absolutely wonderful. So see you guys tomorrow, and then mark your calendar for October 15th, and we'll get that out in a day or so for you guys to meet Miss Caroline Peterson, who was recently recognized by the president of South Africa. So we're doing some things, and Karen, I'm glad you are always here with me.
No
Tenise,
way.
we are excited for next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Dallas, you're going to share it with us so we can tell our
Yes,
friends in Texas.
absolutely.
And then we are going to stay on you so we can get a virtual showing maybe,
Yes, let's
and
do it.
wherever we can get in a theater near you,
Yes.
maybe.
Let's do it.
Okay. We're
Yes.
not going
Let's
to
do
let
it.
her show at one time and get away with it. And for those of you who made real quick, for those of you who made our fundraiser earlier this year with Jamil Edie, who showed her film during our fundraiser in April. I don't know if anybody raised your hand if you got it. Let me brag for a minute. The young woman who showed her film during our fundraiser, if y'all missed it, let me just tell y'all what y'all missed. She won the Martha's Vineyard where all the swank people was. Her film won. So there, if you missed it, you could have seen it here first. So there you go. Those are the people we know. So we're going to call it for our Tenise that next year, our Tenise will be at Martha's Vineyard. We're going to claim
Yeah.
it in the name of Jesus. Y'all forgot. For y'all that didn't know, my daddy was a Kojic minister. Every now and again, it comes out. So we're going to call it for our Tenise. In the
Yeah.
name of Jesus, Tenise will be on Martha's Vineyard. And she can send me an email and say, "Do you want to go with me?" And I say, "Girl, let me look at the hotels." "Oh, no, just call me." Just
Girl, we'll be at a house. We'll be fine.
call
We'll
and
be
let Auntie
fine.
Ree know that you made it. Because I can't afford to be there. Thank you for the invitation. Oh, Lord, oh my God, the
Yeah.
hotels. Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're going to claim it for you, Tenise, and do a GoFundMe so you can afford to go. But anyway, thank you so much for doing it with us. We are excited to see your show. Thank you, guys. Send an email to hello. You guys got it, right? Hello at Birthing Magic for your contact hours. And thank you to Nakia, our friend Nakia, for giving the contact hours or working with us to provide them. And we'll see you all tomorrow night. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.